Liza Amlani, and today I'm going to talk to you about keeping the customer in focus. Specifically, I'm going to focus on clienteling. Now, I hate to burst your bubble. I know you have learned a lot about technology today. I mean, Deborah is amazing. I follow all of her work, and apparently we speak at a lot of the same things. And what I'll tell you is that learning about AI and all these shiny objects of technology, you're also going to learn a lot through the expo. But what I'm going to tell you today, technology is not going to solve all of your problems. I will rephrase that. Technology alone is not going to solve all of your problems. What you're going to have to do is have the right balance of tech and touch. Tech meaning the technology that you're going to use to solve these problems that you have. Problems like inventory management, assortment planning, marketing, digital, all of those things are going to have to marry up with touch. Now, I don't know if any of you have read John Nesbitt's Megatrends back in the 80s. Anyone heard of it? Okay. So one of the trends that John spoke about was around technology. That the more technology is introduced to us, the more we're going to value human touch. So that's what I'm going to talk a little bit about today. Now, balancing that tech and touch is really important in clienteling because we want to get closer to our customer. We're looking to drive loyalty, right? We're looking to drive engagement. And that's really taking that balance of tech and touch. Now, why are we clienteling? So, the reason to clientele is to get to know your customer, right? And to drive a profit. Now, I brought this little book up because about, well, let's age myself here. In the year 2000, I started on the shop floor, and I worked at Harrods. Anyone shop at Harrods before? I'm sure many of us have. Okay, great department store. It's changed a lot, but we won't talk about that. I worked on the shop floor, and I was a sales associate. I worked at Ralph Lauren. In fact, I started my career at Ralph Lauren and ended there, but again, we'll talk about that at dinner. So what I did was I would have this book, and I would carry it with me in my pocket or leave it at the POS. I would write down my customer's information in this book. My teammates would laugh at me, but stay tuned for that. So I would write down all of my customer information, what they bought from me, what size they were, what colors they liked, where they lived in the city, how often they came in to shop with me. And what I would do with that information is when I would receive a collection into the store, I would call them and I would say, you know, this great collection from Donna Karen is in. I think you'll really love this. And then they would come in and they would shop from me. So I built that trust with them because I got to know them. And in turn, I was the top salesperson in the year 2000 at Harrods. But what I was doing was I was clienteling, right? I was clienteling, I was getting to know my customer, and I was driving a profit doing that. Because I had the right balance of tech and touch. At that time, it was low tech and high touch. Now, clienteling is about getting to know your customer. It's very personal, right? You need to know why they're making the purchase. And in terms of apparel, footwear, those Jordans you're wearing, it's about your brand identity, right? And with your face, it's even more important, and it's even more personal. Whether it is a medical purchase or a fashion purchase, it is personal. It's part of someone's brand identity. It's the first impression you have of them. Now, we need to know why. This is where clienteling comes into play. Why is that customer making that purchase? And what we have to do as retailers, as store owners, as optical owners, is we need to understand why that purchase is personal and why the customer is making that purchase, no matter if it's medical or fashion. And this is where clienteling comes into play. Because we don't buy eyewear every day, We need that customer coming back to you. It's also a business, right? We, as personal as the purchase is, we are in the business of selling. We are in the business of making a profit. So we need to know what we're facing today. Customers across generations. I taught at FIT in the fall. I taught digital fashion marketing and digital technology. And we spent a lot of time talking about the customer and how the customer is changing. So we have boomers, right? They're getting older. I think I read a stat that they are now going to be 6% of the population. We have millennials, Gen X, boomers, Alpha, Gen Z, not in that order. So customers are very different across generations. So who you're seeing shopping today in your store might be different tomorrow. How that customer shops is also very different. We're shopping across social channels. We're pre-shopping. I pre-shop all the time. I mean, I definitely pre-shopped the kicks I'm going to buy tomorrow, which I'll talk to you about later. But that's how I shop. I pre-shop before I go into a store. Many of us do that, right? We check online. So how the customer is shopped, and how they're shopping across generations is also changing. How they engage with brands is also different. Brands or retailers, right? We have, I mean, TikTok is in the news today, but some generations really prefer shopping on TikTok Shop. That class that I was teaching definitely loves TikTok Shop. We're shopping on Instagram. We're shopping on marketplaces, right? We're also wanting to engage with brands that perhaps have values that align with ours. Sustainability, for instance, a giant word, right, which we're not going to define. But in many cases, customers really value aspects of sustainability. So they want the brand to also showcase similar values. There's also a lot more types of stores and channels. So during the pandemic, we saw this surge of DTC brands, right? There are a lot more marketplaces today. We also have TikTok Shop, right? We have omni-channel. We have unified commerce. We have all of these things that we didn't have before, but they're not going to go away. In fact, we're going to see a lot more channels today. The way that customers are shopping across these channels is also different. We have VR headsets. We have Roblox. We have Meta. We have Ray-Ban Meta glasses, right? So we have a lot more ways of the customer to engage with us, but also shop with us. We also have a more diverse product assortment. And what I mean by that is we have DTC brands now. We have brands on Shein, right? We still have eyewear being sold on Canal Street. We have the off-price channel. There's digital, there's physical, there's social. And all of that has impacted the product assortment. We have a lot more choice. This is where curation becomes even more important. Now, I've been focusing on clienteling today because I want you to keep that customer in focus to get them to shop with you. Because today, you can fill a prescription anywhere. You can fill it at Costco. You don't have to go into your lens crafters and the mall anymore. That's not a thing, right? So the fact is, we need to drive more customer loyalty. Driving customer loyalty is part of clienteling, and the value it's going to bring to you is getting the customers to shop with you versus going to Costco. Increase engagement. We know that customers are engaging with many, many brands today. How do we get them to engage with you? Well, you're going to build a relationship with them. You're going to build that trust, kind of like how I did, right, at Harrods. We're also going to capture insights. Now, this one is great. We talked about data earlier, right? Actually, a few people talked about data. There's an abundance of data. Bill and we talked about data during our lunch. There's an abundance of data out there. And it's not just the data we're capturing in our POS system. It's not just the data we're capturing in our solution, keeping our patients' information together. We're capturing insights from talking to the customer in our store, seeing what they're buying online, what are they searching for, because we need to drive the right product at the right time in the right place. Also at the right price, right? We have a lot more choices, and in many cases, if we understand why the customer wants to shop with us and what is important to them, let's say it's price, then that's something you need to know when you're building your product assortment. Okay, this is where I kind of lost some of my animation here, so I'll just put them all up. I'm going to talk about store tech. I'm going to bring it back to that tech and touch balance that I talked about earlier. Anyone use self-checkout? Anyone use self-checkout and it's clunky? I did yesterday. I went into Target and I bought a few things, and I never buy produce at a self-checkout because something always goes wrong. But yesterday I did. I bought some bananas, and I was at Target, and some of the lanes, half of the lanes were closed. Some of them were open. There was this lovely gentleman there to help people. So high friction. This is supposed to be high tech. Self-checkout is supposed to be high tech. In some cases it is. Target it wasn't. But where it has been really well received, and I use it, is Zara. Zara or Uniqlo, right? They use RFID technology, which I think Deborah talked about earlier, where all the product is tagged. So I go into Zara, I pre-shop online, because that's what I do, and I go into the store to touch and to feel the product. As a former merchant, I can't not do that, so I go into the store, I touch and feel the product very quickly, in maybe like 5 minutes. I'll go and take everything I want and put it in this basket in front of the POS machine. It goes in, I scan my loyalty app, and within seconds, I'm out of the store. Seamless, frictionless. Same thing as Uniqlo. Now, did anyone fly in from Vegas? I am going somewhere with this. No? Okay. TSA this week, I think it was this week, announced their seamless, automatic security lane. Did anybody read about this? Yes? No? Okay. So basically, you're self-checking out yourself in this lane. And what's interesting here is that TSA, an organization that is, I would say, more clunky than most, because you're being searched, even though you're a frequent flyer, it's annoying, right? The fact that they're onboarding this in Vegas and at a hub is very interesting. That's an example of high tech and low touch. That's the balance of tech and touch. Second example, beauty tech. I love this. L'Oreal and Ulta, I've tried them both. And what you do is you take a picture of your face, and either you use their app or you upload it onto the website, and you add your preferences. So whether it is something you're specifically looking for an event, or if you are looking for a new lipstick, or you're looking for a skin diagnosis, you put your face in the app, you put your preferences in there. You can even put in if you wear foundation, if you wear glasses, all of those things, which is, I was very impressed. I was expecting not the greatest experience, but it was great. It was seamless, it was easy, and it was accurate. So this was an example of high tech and fairly low touch, because I didn't have to call a customer service agent or talk to a chatbot. It was easy, and I bought a lipstick. It was awesome. Fashion tech. I love this example. Anyone, I doubt it, but anyone in this room not heard of the MLB transparent pants? We've heard of it, yes? Okay. I think the New York Times wrote about it again a couple of days ago. So MLB, Nike, and Fanatics all got together, right? Decided that they're going to create these new uniforms for MLB. And what they did was, outside of the transparent pants, which if you want to talk about it, we can talk about it at dinner. We'll table that. But the sizing, what Nike did was they used the sizing of all of the players to create size buckets so that they could reduce the number of size options and minimize tailoring for the players. The uniforms were shipped, and it was a disaster. I don't know if anyone reads Reddit. It was hilarious. And what happened was, outside of the transparent pants, is the pants did not fit. And of course, as an athlete, if your uniform does not fit, it hinders your ability to perform. Big challenge. But what's good here, and there is something good, is that the technology that Nike used to create these size buckets, they can actually keep iterating. They can get better. Because what we need to do is to continue to reduce development, to reduce some of that, the assortment across sizing. This is going to be helpful. So when we go back to clienteling, we have, see if this clicker works, customer loyalty, right, through checkout. I'm still going to go to Target. I'm still going to use self-checkout. It's still going to be clunky, but I'm also going to use it at Zara and Uniqlo and TSA next week. Beauty tech. This is a great example of increasing engagement. This is something I would definitely use again. It was easy. I didn't have to go into the store. I could avoid people in Sephora or Ulta. And here, with fashion tech, capturing insights. So Nike Fanatics is going to keep learning, right? And what that's going to do is it's going to drive better press. It's going to drive more purchasing across merch, across jerseys, et cetera. So it's really going to help drive profitability across the board. But you need to have the balance of tech and touch. Now, we use a lot of these things in eyewear, right? I use Hubble for my contact lens subscription service. I don't have to think about it because I always forget to order contact lenses. It just shows up at my door, which I love. No? Nobody likes it? I like it. The second thing is I also have bought glasses at Warby Parker. And I did buy a couple of pairs during the pandemic. And I used virtual try-on. It was pretty great. I bought the glasses. It was great. And then Warby Parker knew when I was going to look for glasses again, and they were able to personalize marketing towards me because they knew what color I was. They knew what color my hair was. They knew the sizing of my face, and they were able to personalize marketing. And then in terms of sizing, I want to bring this up because I think this is so cool. It is, you have the ability in your stores to have a 3D printer, right? There is I can't remember which store it's called, but it's super fascinating where they have the 3D printer in the store and they can print you a frame, personalized and customized to the size of your face and the material you want in the store immediately, which is a great example of capturing insights to drive right product, right time, right place. Now, there's a lot of examples that we could bring in to help you understand how you could use the balance of tech and touch in your industry, but learning from other industries to see how they can apply to you to drive loyalty, engagement, and insights is critical because you need to keep up with your customer. So to recap, medical or fashion, it's a personal purchase. We know there's a business case here, but there has to be that balance between tech and touch. Because when you have that balance, you can capture insights, drive loyalty, product assortments, right product, right time, right place, which is going to get you the customer and the sale. So that's a little bit about clienteling. But that balance of tech and touch, I want you to keep that customer in focus as you're walking the expo floor, as you're digesting what you use today, because technology will not solve anything alone. Thank you very much. My name is Liza Amlani. And I will be at the dinner if you wanted to discuss the transparent pants. Thank you.